Welcome back to the Cetera Podcast. I'm your host,
Sorry.
Victor, along with my co host, Mark. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good. I'm doing good.
Uh,
Just trying to. It's a little difficult trying to make sure that this mic was in front of me.
yeah.
That way.
I just want to say, I didn't even realize we did this. We do this a lot,
Oh.
but we didn't discuss this at all.
No, we didn't.
I haven't worn blue jean color in
Oh wow.
ages. And I don't think I've seen like that,
Yeah, this one now.
like
Yeah.
to the point that we're like this
Oh,
right now.
It's
Never.
almost identical. The jean color
Yeah.
too. It's like
And we're
very
both wearing
identical.
brown.
Yeah. I don't know why we do this. I think we're just this entwined.
Yeah. I mean, we've been seeing each other every week for like
Yeah.
since we started this, and even before that because of
Exactly.
school.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of why.
Yeah, that's weird. I didn't realize until I just looked at you now.
Yeah.
What's going on, people? We're back. Let's address the elephant in the room, then we can move on. The Phillies lost. I know. The Union also lost the same day.
Really?
The soccer team.
Wow.
Their championship was that same day, and we lost.
Wow.
And I watched it, and I haven't watched a single game all year. I'll be honest, but obviously Philly sports. I'm a ride. It was a good game. They went back and forth the whole way. We were leading, and every time they just kept answering, going back and forth. So we went to a tie, then we went to overtime.
Wow.
We went to two halves of overtime. Then we went to
Jeez.
penalty kicks, and we just shit ourselves. Like
Damn.
we did not know how to make a penalty kick to save our life. They whooped us,
Wow.
and we lost like that in the championship. It was, I mean, they fought till the end, obviously, but we also shouldn't have. Like in overtime, we scored and we had the lead, and then we gave up that last goal for them to tie it up
Oh,
in the
okay.
most stupid way.
Uh,
Like it was like the guy lobbed it from the corner and he like knocked it in with his head. I'm like, bro, you can't like
Yeah, for something like that, y'all should have been able to
launch your body at the ball. Like at this point, like it's the last couple minutes of the bro. There was like 2 minutes left.
yeah.
That
You
shit
might as well just go all out.
that shit pissed me off. And the Phillies, they were burning out anyway. It was very clear that the Astros were way better than we were overall.
I mean, I know
So
I
it is what
heard
it
some
is.
stuff that people saying that the Astros cheat. Is that what I heard?
Yes and no. So with the Astros, for the first game that we played against them, I think they won or we beat them.
I think we won, right?
We won.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the players used a bat that was no longer legal, technically. So the way it works is there's a certain model of a bat. Obviously, there's like a bunch
Yeah.
out there.
I know they said they
And
stopped using like wood ones, right?
no, they still use
They still
wood
use 'em?
ones.
Okay.
It was just that certain
Thought it
type
was a
of
certain one.
the way that one in particular that was made. That model was discontinued and made illegal by the league.
Mm.
But the way the rule worked, it was like
Crazy.
if you were already a MLB player when it was legal, you can still use it. So players like Albert Pujols, who like was already used to using it, they allowed him to keep it. But when we went into that World Series, one of the players from the Astros contacted Albert Pujols and was like, "Yo, like, can you hook me up with some bats for good luck, and I'll use it during the World Series?" And he did, but like technically by the rule, since that player was newer and he came into the league after that bat was made illegal, he couldn't use it. But Albert Pujols can because he was down before he was in before the rule was in.
That's kind of funny, like how that works, though.
Yeah,
Like oh, you were in here, so you're allowed to use it. But
it's because some play like a lot of times, like even a glove or like anything like if you used to using it, like it could fuck up your whole thing.
that's true. Yeah.
Like if you don't have your bat, it'll fuck your whole head up. Imagine using like someone else's controller.
I mean, yeah.
It'll fuck your head up.
Imagine like just going onto somebody else's like setup and like the settings are completely different for everything.
Yeah,
You're just
exactly.
Like...
So same idea, but that's why they kind of I guess they allowed it. But the reason that the bat was made illegal wasn't because it was like cheating in a way. It was for safety reasons. That bat broke a lot, and like a lot of chips will fly out.
Yeah, that's
So
why I was saying like the whole wood.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would just break them, and then
Yeah.
sometimes it could like injure.
No, they
something.
still use wood bats in general. It's just that certain type was like prone to breaking, so that's why it was made illegal. It wasn't because they had some crazy advantage. Um, but either way, like even before the play, like before our series and during ours, there were a lot of stuff where like shit was shady. Which honestly, like knowing their history, and you know what happened with them like a couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
How like they got caught with buzzers and all that other
Mhm.
shit. Like I believe that it's possible, but then it's hard to argue because like they're doing it and we see it. But after every inning, a pitcher gets checked by an umpire. So and they didn't find any foul play, so it's cool. But at the same time, like the way that people cheat is usually they'll have like a substance on them, and you can wipe that off on your jersey and you're good to go.
Mm.
So it's tough.
Yeah.
Uh,
Unless they have like a newer, different way to like kind of find it. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's
Like
the only way.
unless you check them like all the way, like before they run down, like there's no like you can't really like
Get a TSA check
defeat that.
before every time
Yeah,
it comes out.
like there's no way for like there's always gonna be a way to dodge around it in a way, unless
Yeah.
you like
Someone's
yeah
always just gonna find a new way to kind of like cheat and get
yeah.
out, you know. It's just,
Especially that team the way that they did a couple years ago, like they beyond was like I'm not like they just went super like yo we're gonna cheat and we're gonna cheat our ass
yeah.
off. Cause like I don't know if you were paying attention to it in general throughout the playoffs outside of like the Phillies when they were playing another team before us.
Oh no.
There was a thing where like they were showing obviously they showed the picture, you know, and during the broadcast they'd be like, oh, like they show the POV of like the batter hitting,
Mm-hmm.
then they'll show a camera shot of like the pitcher setting up, shit like that. And people were noticing that one of their pitcher's ears, just the one ear, was dumb shiny. Like not like oh like he's sweaty shiny, like oh like he dipped his ear in Vaseline shiny. So that was one thing. And then they kept seeing players like reach into like, you know, their glove or like a certain part they'd be hitting like a sleeve and like wipe something and then wipe somewhere else or like wipe it off. Like just shit that if you're playing bait like doesn't really make sense for you to do it.
Why you're like messing with that spot so much?
Yeah,
Like, why?
exactly. Like maybe once it's like, oh, like I'm itchy
Yeah,
or some shit
exactly.
like that's
Yeah.
it. But like every time you're about to do something, you go back to that spot, it's like something's there. I don't know if it's a mosquito bite or you cheating, like something's there.
That's
So
just to me. I just find that shit so crazy because like you know, you got a lot of different things as far as like I'm not going to compare really like gaming and sports that much. What like, you know, as far as like cheaters and how people like blatantly do stuff and like, I just find it crazy to do something like that in baseball where there's thousands of people watching you
yeah.
and all like I can only imagine like if you got caught like can you imagine just like game's over like you're just like fuck guys I'm sorry
Yeah.
I didn't hide a bet like I can't imagine that like how that shit will work like you're just that confident like they're not gonna catch me don't worry guys like
Yeah. It's I mean, that's basically what it is and like I'm not saying that they're the only team that cheats. Like I'm
nah
sure that
man
it's a league. Like maybe there's like, I mean, I haven't seen any like accusations against our team, but maybe there is some weird shit that we're doing or
yeah
whatever it may be. Everybody in sports in general, there's always going to be something. In football, all the time, or basketball, players get caught spraying stuff on their hands for rebounds and stuff like sticky like substances to
mm,
like get a better grip on the ball, and then either it's technically not legal or like they just say like fuck it, like I'll try it if I get caught, I get fined 20,000. I make fucking 250 million. I don't really give a fuck.
bro them fines be nothing bro
Yeah, like
that'd be like a parking ticket to
yeah,
them.
like I can make like one Instagram post tonight and make that back because of
Exactly
whatever. Like it, so it's like oh like you know slap on the wrist type thing. Like I could get away for it for 10 games, get caught on the 11th, and then whatever. Like
yeah
so some people don't give a fuck. Also some it's the same thing with like working somewhere. You know what I mean? Like you could work one place and the whole vibe somewhere else could be totally different. Like some
yeah
places
the way
just
you do
are
things
just
yeah
shady, or like there's another like some places are strict, some aren't. Like same thing with sport teams. Like there are some sports organizations where they will welcome people doing stuff like that, or like
mm.
playing dirty, or playing rough, or being super
Yeah, I guess
strict.
like yeah, not playing by the rules, like
Yeah,
bending the rules. I guess you would say, you know,
yeah,
to
because
get the
you'll see that with the Astros, or you've seen it with the Saints back in the day when Sean Payton was like telling people to like basically take people out on purpose.
hmm
Recently, it was last year. It was the Dolphins that they were like purposely losing games and throwing games to get better draft picks. Like, and that was the
That
whole thing.
reminds me of was it the longest yard
Hmm.
with Adam Sandler? With him like, you know, what was it, the points or whatever, basically like purposely losing that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of shit like that. It's like, or even if you think about a team like the Patriots, where they're known to be super strict and shit, but they also got caught stealing. Like, I remember from the year that they beat us the first time in the Super Bowl in 2001, they got caught stealing like plays and stuff and like hearing into the other people's mics
Oh
the
yeah,
game
yeah,
before the Super Bowl. And then a couple years ago, when Tom Brady was on the Patriots, there was Deflate Gate, where they said that the balls were flat, like a little bit like
deflated.
deflated, and
Yeah,
so like it happens. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like people will try it, and if they get caught, then whatever. The Sixers just got caught for tampering, which is something that is so known that everybody does it. Tampering is basically like, because you know there's trade deadlines and times you can sign people and free agents and stuff. Technically, you're not supposed to talk to anybody until those things until a certain date of the year or season or whatever until it's allowed. So if you talk to people before that time, then it's called tampering.
Mm.
But everybody does it. Like, you don't think that, like, during the offseason, certain players don't meet up with players with other teams and hang out and just be like, yo, like, you should join my team. Like, and then you'll talk to a certain person, like, oh, we could get you this and this and that. Like, that shit happens
It
all the
happens
time.
all the time, most likely.
But
Yeah.
we just lost draft picks over it for players that aren't doing shit for us.
Mm.
We signed, like, old heads and, like, we, like, tampered to do it because they were players that James Harden used to play with.
Oh.
Like, duh, like no shit, he got their numbers.
Yeah.
Like, yo, like, come through, like, come to Philly. Like, it's chill here. You could win a chip.
I don't like any of these niggas, please.
Yeah.
Bro.
Anything could fall
Please.
into that. Like, if a player goes on to, like, say if they were to come into our podcast and be like, yo, like, if Giannis came to our team, be kind of lit, then the NBA will see it and they'll find them, like, money because that's called tampering. Like, you can't entice anybody to come to a certain team and shit.
I'll just be like, oh, it's a good time.
Yeah.
I ain't telling you to come over. I'm just saying if you did.
You know what? I'm glad that we had planned to talk about other stuff, but I'm glad that this was brought up and, like, whatever, because it's a weird time, like, to be in sports right now. I know that not a lot of y'all don't give a fuck about sports, if anything, but, like, just being able to say certain stuff and how you can't really say shit is mad awkward right now. Like, I don't know if you've seen the stuff with Kyrie Irving.
Oh, I didn't look at it exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about though, and it was some allegations, right, about
I mean,
what he,
not I mean, he did do what he did. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's hard to
yeah.
call that an
My bad,
allegation.
not allegation. Yeah, it was something that he like
Yeah.
said, right, or
So basically, what happened with Kyrie Irving? There's this documentary. I forget the name of it, but he posted, like, the movie poster of it on his Instagram, and people were finding it to be very anti-Semitic by
that.
the
Yeah,
title or
that's what
whatever
it
it may
was.
be. Which honestly, like, I'm I'm not an anti-Semite, and I don't believe in any of that shit or anything. But, like, read the room. You know what I mean? Like, you see what's going on with, like, Kanye and what he said and how what caused all that issues with him. Why are you gonna go? I think it was like the same week, if not close to it,
Yeah, it was like
and
about a week after or something
do
like that.
something similar. You know what I mean? Like, one, rappers and athletes are kind of like in that same realm.
I
So
mean, yeah, they majority all of them always hang out together.
yeah.
It's yeah,
So you're almost like latched into that same group in a way.
yeah.
And especially with the NBA, NBA is very tapped into, like, hip hop culture as well, because they released 2K and, like, J. Cole's on the cover. Years
Mhm.
prior, Jay-Z was, like, curating the soundtracks. I think Travis Scott got in there at
Travis
one
Scott,
point.
yeah.
Like, and there's even, like, their clothing and, like, brands and stuff are implemented into the game.
Mhm.
And obviously, like, rappers' sneakers are on the courts, and, like, it's a whole thing. Like, they go hand in hand almost.
Yeah.
So for you to do that at that time was just bad timing. I haven't seen the documentary. Supposedly, the whole premise of it, because I saw somebody say that they watched it and this is what they, like, gathered from it, was a bunch of stuff saying that, like, Jewish people, as, like, you would imagine in your head, like, what a Jewish person is. Like, when you think of who Jewish people are, you see people like what they call Hasidic
The
Jews and stuff like that.
yarmulkes.
Yeah, like that type of thing. They're saying that those people aren't the original Jewish people. Um, Dating back to back when that, like, apparently, like, that black people were the first Jewish people, whatever it may be, because obviously, like, back then it was in Africa, or, like, or in Egypt and all Jerusalem, all that stuff. Like, you're on that continent of Africa. You know, there's a whole spiel. I don't know the ins and outs and the right verbiage for it, but that's along those lines of where it was coming from. And basically also leading into the idea that a lot of Jewish people have come to this country and have a lot of wealth, and they control a lot of, like, media or own a lot of teams, or a lot of the major corporations in America that are run by Jewish people or owned by Jewish people. That's what they were kind of discussing, for at least from my understanding. Um, it's kind of a weird situation because, like, I mean, it is a thing that there's a lot of Jewish people with wealth in this country. I know Jewish people. I've had class with them. I've spoken with them, and, like, just see the whole vibe. I'm not saying they out here, like, being on some weird shit, but they are in wealth, and I'm not saying they have any bad harm. It just so happens to be the situation that it is.
Yeah.
But does get kind of dangerous because I'm not trying to be dramatic, but this same type of, like, talking is what caused, like, Hitler and shit.
As far as wait, what
like
talking
like the whole
exactly?
like that whole idea of like, oh, like Jewish people are getting too much money, they have too much power, da 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 da.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they
So
have
the
to be taken
whole
care of.
okay, yeah.
That same speaking and like thought process was what drew
Yeah.
like Hitler, and like what that's what he was saying to get people in Germany to be like, yeah, like like
Yeah, let's do something about them.
yeah.
Yeah. I see what you mean, yeah.
And that was the same. It's like, oh, like they own a lot of land. They are taking like we're losing Germany.
Mhm.
We need to do this, and that to regain Germany, and that's how that kind of turned
Yeah.
snowballed into. I'm not saying Kyrie Irving gonna cause World War II or World War III,
Yeah, yeah, but it's
but it's a dangerous ideology or dangerous way of thinking for that reason. Like we've seen in the
yeah,
past,
and
like it
it's kind of
happens.
the same thing like again, like how what Kanye was saying, like cuz he was like on the same like idea kind of like saying all this whole thing about Jewish people. And it was just kind
Yeah.
of like, bro, what where you going with this? But like, yeah, I understand what he means, but like but
And
yeah.
and at the same time, Kyrie's response when he was asked about it, he got kind of frustrated. It was just like, a reporter asked him like, "Hey, like, why would you post that like that?" I don't even honestly don't know who has even watched the actual documentary itself. I don't know how many people are genuinely upset
Mhm.
or just joining that crowd of like, "Oh, like this is offensive. Like
They
we
just
should
read the
be upset."
title and just say,
Yeah.
okay,
So
this
I don't because it seems like the contents of the film. Again, I haven't seen it myself, but from what I've heard, isn't that bad. But the reporter was like, "Yo, why would you post that movie poster? Like that movie's offensive or whatever it may be." And then Kyrie's just kind of like, "Oh, like I didn't." He was like, "Oh, like why did you support that way that film thinks?" He's like, "I never said I agreed with it. I just posted the movie poster," which is like a come on now, like
well,
why else are you
yeah,
posting it
unless
then?
you're in it.
Yeah, like what other purpose are you posting it for?
Yeah,
Unless
unless
you're
you're
unless I mean unless you're like explicitly saying like, "Yo, like this movie's not good," or like it's
I feel like yeah, you would have to verbally say that it's not
that
good
you don't
because
agree with it
you
because
just posting it, not saying anything else about it, only makes it seem like you're
you do
promoting
like it.
it.
Nobody's posting stuff that they don't like
Yeah,
with no context.
yeah,
If you don't like something, you're gonna say like, "Oh, like this is disgusting," or "This movie, I don't agree with what this film had to
yeah,
say."
yeah,
Some type of context.
yeah,
If you go on somebody's page and you see them post anything, you're like, "Oh, they must like that thing,"
yeah.
whether it be clothes, food, a certain movie. You go onto somebody's page, you see certain things. Oh, you associated with that person.
Hmm.
So it was kind of like it was mishandled
Yeah,
on all
definitely.
sides almost, you could say.
Yeah, it's just like you said, like a weird time right now in
Yeah.
sports.
It was just wasn't smart. It wasn't a smart move. I'm not saying that he was necessarily wrong or I don't know what, because I clearly don't know all the history and all the facts.
Yeah,
But from the outside looking in, like it just wasn't a smart move.
yeah.
But he got fined. I'm pretty sure he's suspended like indefinitely
Wow,
until he like apologizes or some shit.
that's
And
crazy.
I don't know how true it is, but I also heard that like Kyrie has just said like he told the Nets that like he just might retire altogether.
I mean, to be honest, with the amount of for as long as I've seen Kyrie, playing basketball, I would figure like this is just like kind of around the time where he probably would.
But he's still young though. That's the thing. Like
Yeah.
what's amazing about Kyrie is that he started so young. Like he came in like super young into the league, right?
Hmm.
And he came in after LeBron had left to Miami.
Okay.
So he went to the Cavaliers when they were top ass
Hmm.
and was just balling his ass off. And he was just he it was his team.
Yeah.
LeBron comes back, they work together, they win a championship. And the year that they came back from that 3-1 lead and everything, and like it was like a crazy like a Warriors blew a 3-1 lead, and like that whole game was insane. How like he hit that last shot over Curry and all that stuff.
Hmm.
He was like 25.
Yeah.
And in my mind, that happened so long ago, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's still at this point where he's still playing at a high level because he's played for the Nets, he's played for the Cavaliers, he's played for Boston. In between all of that time, and he's still in his like prime of his career.
I think what the issue is that like you said, it was his team. I feel like he's overworking himself with the idea that he has to like do a lot of the work because he is really good. So that could just be a little bit of it. He just like does a lot for himself. And I'm pretty sure he wants to make sure he obviously he's the best like on his team. Like
Yeah.
why wouldn't he? I feel like that's probably it, but at the same time, I don't know,
That was a problem at one point. That's one of the reasons why he left the Cavaliers in the first place.
Yeah.
That he wanted to be the top guy wherever he was at, which makes sense because he came in and the Cavs was his team. He was the only good player on that team essentially. LeBron comes back, it's LeBron. Like you not only it's LeBron who just came from the Heat who just won I
Yeah.
think back-to-back championships
LeBron, yeah.
and almost won 3 in a row.
Yeah. I mean,
So he's gonna be the guy.
yeah. And I definitely like, because in my head, I'm saying, like, oh, why don't you just kind of like, I wouldn't say the word like suck it up and be like, yo, like, just work with LeBron. But at the same time, like, you shouldn't look at LeBron as somebody like who's always going to be over you. You should always just try to like
Yeah.
be as good
Just
as
do
him
your
or do
just do
better.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that makes sense, to try to like want to be somewhere where you're actually like the top person, but you
Right.
just got to work even harder because you either you don't get people that are good on your team, or you're still going against LeBron and he's still just like
Yeah.
cooking it up.
It's just it's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. Like not a lot of great players in general don't do well with that. It's
Yeah.
very few that do. Because
Mhm.
imagine you just like, I mean, Kyrie's been gifted since even he was a top recruiter in college. Like, imagine you just being the man always
Mhm.
your whole life in this one thing. Like you, like since you were a little kid in basketball, like you were always the best.
Yeah.
And even as the higher you go, you continue to be the best. And then you finally come across somebody who arguably at the time is better than you. So you're the second, you're number two.
Yeah.
It's a tough pill to swallow from when you're always used to being number one. So
It's
there's
kind of almost like My Hero.
yes,
literally,
exactly.
literally like My Hero.
He's
He is literally Endeavor.
he's literally Endeavor.
Just trying to just get to that number one spot, but doesn't know how to.
Exactly. So it's kind of like it's a tough thing to do, and a lot of players struggle with that. That's why you see a lot of good players like they have the opportunity to retire,
Mhm.
and they've been so used to being the shit for so long that they don't know how to let go.
Yeah.
For example, look at Tom Brady. Like he had the chance. He had what 5 rings in New England. He was the shit. Everybody's like, yo, like you're the best to ever do it. Like we
Yeah.
can't argue with you.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you got it. You're the
Mhm.
shit. He said, fuck that. I'm going to Tampa.
I could prove
Goes
you
to
even
Tampa
more.
at 40 years old. Takes them to the Super Bowl in his first year there. Before that, they were ass. They had another quarterback and they didn't go anywhere for years.
Yeah,
And they
that
had the
does.
same roster, the same wide receivers. He went and did it himself, took them to the chip, and they won in their home state
Yeah, that does
in
say something.
Florida.
That does say
Won
something.
the chip first year and still didn't retire.
Yeah.
He has every record. He has the most rings ever,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still there. And then
Yeah.
after that, he had another chance to go again, and it didn't work out. And he came back this year after he said he retired. He told everybody he's done. That's it.
He said, "Nah, bro, I'm
And he
back."
came back, even though he said, I'm going to be back for my wife and kids.
And said, "No, fuck
Said,
them."
no, I'm going back.
Fuck.
Got divorced.
Fuck them.
He got divorced
Yeah, I know. He said, "Fuck them."
from Victoria's Secret supermodel. Was it Giselle something?
I don't know. I don't know.
Divorced her and ended up getting divorced over this.
Mm-hmm.
And is back. Still, I don't know how to feel about it. Right now, he's leading his division in like wins. Like he's the top team in the division, but they have a losing record. They're 4-5.
Mm.
Still,
It's a divorce, man. It's just a little in his head.
yeah.
Just let it
So,
get
and
out.
they're playing like ass. He just won like a comeback win this past week, so he's looking better. I guess it was the divorce.
That's what I'm saying. He's getting
Um,
over. He's getting over it.
but at the same time, there's the stats for like who's leading in passing yards and everything.
Mhm.
Guess who's number one?
Tom Brady.
No,
Oh.
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah,
Guess who's number two?
to Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
So I mean,
Patrick
yeah,
Mahomes is like in his like mid to late 20s.
yeah,
Fucking Tom Brady's like he's 45. The next people under that are all in their early to mid 20s.
yeah. I mean, he's
That makes no
yeah
sense.
to be that old and still,
Why are you that good?
yeah, kicking it.
And at least that's one of the few situations where it's like, all right, he's old, but he's still good. But you think
Yeah.
about Kobe, like Kobe on his last year, like he was falling apart. Like he would go on the bench and just wrap himself in ice and shit. Like his body was done.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say because every sport's different, obviously, but feel like basketball, you're doing like a lot. But it's all the same with football too, because you're getting tackled. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's just depending on how much you work yourself. And someone as Tom Brady, who's obviously a quarterback, he ain't out there as much as everybody else
he's
is.
not
So
putting himself out there. He's protecting
yeah,
himself.
but I mean, I'm pretty sure he is still practicing just as hard. So
Yeah, but still, like the idea with basketball is like you're jumping and like that takes a
yeah,
toll on your knee, especially when you're doing it for 20 years.
exactly. I feel like basketball is one of those sports too, where it's like I feel like it's barely any timeouts. Like you're going
Yeah.
and it's almost like soccer where you're just never stop going back and
Hmm.
forth. So I feel like that's kind of how it is with basketball, where it's like, okay, they win, they shot, hurry up, we take it back to the other side. Oh,
And
you shot, oh, take it back to the other
they
side.
also play 82 games a year.
Yeah, so
Where
it's a
football
lot.
you play once a week
Yeah,
for 16 weeks, and then if you go make it to the playoffs, then you play a little bit more.
yeah. So yeah, that would make sense.
But still, and you still have years from college, you still have years from high school. Like you still are getting tackled and beat up and jumping around all that time before that, and then you have injuries. Like it's just so wild. But there are some players where they don't know when to hang it up, and they end up. And there's that point where like they're so used to being great, then they stick around and they have to swallow the fact that it's over, and they end up being a bench player or like being embarrassed or getting replaced by
Yeah,
somebody else. It's like it's so much better to leave on your own terms. Peyton Manning did that where he went to Denver, won the chip, and was like, "I'm out, yo.
yeah, yeah,
I barely made it through this year. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna go at the top, right off into
Yeah.
the sunset."
Peyton Manning era was pretty good.
Yeah,
That was a good era.
and look at Russell Wilson right now. He's struggling like shit.
Yeah.
But that makes me sad because I was kind of rooting for him, but I never realized how much of a cornball he is. That shit is so cringy.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, like you said, just like the idea for them to swallow that pill is like I feel like he has to like I mean everybody I don't know cuz everybody says he should have retired
Yeah.
but maybe he'll retire this time.
Now that he's divorced, are you talking about Tom Brady?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll retire anymore.
I think he has to. I
Not
think
after this year. Because then what was the point?
yeah, that's true.
Because there's no way like I mean, clip this, and I'll be surprised if I'm wrong, but he's not winning the Super Bowl this year. If he does,
Bro,
I don't know what to. I'm buying his jersey.
but at that point, bro, that'd be the biggest comeback story. Imagine like he wins, and then on the camera, he's like he asks his
Yeah.
ex-wife to remarry him. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
this man's done it all.
Like that's wild, you know what I mean? Like if he does it, like, bro, like it's just like I cannot help but feel so much respect
Yeah,
to
for
just be that like
a human being to be that great at something like that.
because people always say like, oh, he's old or he gets uh like special treatment or he's just not that good. It's the people around him. But it's like how he went from it's like, oh, like on the Patriots, like he's always on that team. Whatever, like maybe it is that. Maybe it is the coach, maybe it is the players around him. But he went to a completely different team, a different division,
Mm-hmm.
and did the same shit that next year
I was able
without the
to
coach that they
still,
said that was the only reason he won anything.
yeah,
And continues to ball out. And not only that, bro, he's fucking 45. You know he like you know this. And you still have your young star 20-some-year-old quarterback and you can't do what this 45-year-old man is doing.
I'm here.
That's
I'm here.
that's so weird to me like
Yeah.
how do you deny that man?
Yeah, you can't. Like I said, yeah, like he's definitely earned his place in the Hall of Fame for sure. Like
Yeah.
you can't take that away from him. And for the longest, like you said, he's just been put in the work, winning his fucking rings, and constantly, breaking that barrier. I guess of just proving people wrong.
Because if whatever excuse you could think up of him, it's like, oh, like he can't do this. It's like, all right, you know his weaknesses. Go after him then.
Mm.
Nobody has been able to do it every single
Yeah,
time. And he's had like 3 different coaches at this point.
yeah. I feel like they just know how to work around him. They're just like, oh, we got this, man. We got to make sure, no matter what, we got to change everything, work around this guy.
Yeah. You know what two people I feel like will be able to play like forever and still be comfortable with the fact that they're not the shit anymore? LeBron James
I
and I
can see
feel
that.
and I feel like Steph Curry can play forever.
Yeah,
As long as Steph is draining those shots, doesn't matter.
because I feel like to me when I see Steph play, I feel like it's like I don't see a lot of ego, when it comes to like
He gets
that.
tight sometimes, but
No,
like
no, yeah, I could definitely see him get tight. I mean, like, who wouldn't? You're
yeah,
playing a sport, you're playing the game, like it's competitive, like of course. But like, I just feel like the way he just shoots and the way he goes about just like his play, his for just everything. I just feel like he's the type of person, like you said, that I feel like wouldn't care if someone's like he just plays to play and like
Yeah.
the work he does it shows like it's just like oh yeah like I work for this like if I make these threes the way I make these threes because I'm constantly like playing like
Yeah.
so I don't
He
know
he can play as long as he wants to. If he has the
yeah
urge to, he can. As long
yeah
as those shots are falling, it doesn't matter. Same for Klay Thompson almost. Because Klay
mhm.
Thompson doesn't even move. Like he just stands where he's at, shoots it, and
That's what I'm
drains it.
saying. That's just kind of it's what I mean. I feel like there's just like this elegance of just the way he plays, where it's just like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. This is how I play, and
Yeah.
I don't strain myself.
With Steph is a little different because the way he plays, he just never stops moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just plays like a little kid. Like he's just like runs around, scoops
Over
and like
here?
so like when you get older, that might get a little bit tiring, but still like them 3 point like it just changes how long his longevity because he's never been like a dunker
No,
or anything
yeah,
like that. LeBron, I feel like
yeah, yeah. That guy, he does everything.
he does everything, and I also feel as though he doesn't have the ego. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I think he has it in him to be able to be like, all right, like I've been playing for 20 years. Maybe say like he's in his 40s or something. He still wants to play. I'm not dropping 30 anymore, but I could still give y'all 10 and 10 or something.
Like he's in the huddle,
And
like
yeah,
telling
and
him,
he
like,
can still be like, all right, like I'm not at that anymore where I'm the star, but I'm comfortable being here, being like, all right, like I'll give you guys 10 points and I'll tell y'all what to do because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I'm cool with just being on the side. Like I don't have to be the main guy.
and at that point, I'll be like, shit, all right, because like it's LeBron James. Like,
Yeah,
what you gonna say? Like, no, LeBron.
I think he has that in him, and good
Yeah,
for him. And that'll allow him to play for even longer. Like
yeah,
if he feels like he needs to be the main star all the time, then that's not. Then he'll retire whenever he
yeah.
wants to play with his kid, and I think he'll do it,
Oh yeah, I hope he
or
does.
or at least play when they're both in the league.
I hope he does. Yeah. Hey man, if Rey Mysterio can do it, if his son,
Different, different,
LeBron-
different situation,
Nah, bro, no one can do 619s like Rey Mysterio, bro. So
bro. I can't even imagine. He has to be like in his 40s or 50s, right?
that's what I'm saying, bro.
Imagine doing 619s at 40 years old, bro.
Exactly, bro. You see?
I don't think I can do one now.
Shot,
I
yeah.
mean, I also have like I don't have the environment to
Exactly,
practice. Give me a week, I'll probably do it.
but
But
like, yeah, to do all those swanton bombs, bro, and all that everything, bro.
to be horizontal
Yeah,
and just hold that core and just slap somebody in the forehead with your knees.
bro. I don't care, bro. That's one of the most craziest signature moves I've ever seen in my life,
And
bro.
not a lot of people have like nobody has like at least I mean I haven't watched wrestling, but nobody like takes it. You know how some moves
They
like
kind of like remix a little bit, do
yeah,
something with it, yeah.
I have not seen anybody try and
Cause like
like
you got the idea with like the choke slam, you know, you got the choke slam, then you
yeah,
kind of
like
do
there's
shit
like
with like your whole forearm.
there's the Big Show and there's Undertaker and there's Kane, like they all choke
You
slam.
know, like yeah, but like something like 619, like you really he's literally using his whole body and also using the ring, using an object
Yeah,
to do his move. Like that's just insane to me. I don't care.
crazy.
Oh man,
But yeah, that stuff, that anti-Semitism stuff, just got really out of hand, really
yeah,
really fast. And then I try to think like, oh, like is it that bad or whatever it may be? Like what's really going on here? Like what's the reason why? But if you think about it, like if somebody were to post a film that was like mad racist, like just a movie post, a white player posted a movie post or something mad racist, like he would get removed from the team immediately.
yeah, of course.
So it's just like you got to keep that same energy for anybody and anything.
Yeah, you just gotta watch what you post. I mean, like it sucks, you know, because you think of it if it was someone like us to post it, you know. The same idea will go about it, but nobody would really like pay attention as much. But when you have
Because we're nobodies,
exactly, that's what I was about to get to. We're nobody, unfortunately, you know, yet for nobody yet because of you guys, but we'll be there because of you guys. So, but just that idea, like because of him and who he is, like he posted it, now everybody's just like, oh shit, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah. And it's all I also feel like they pick on Kyrie a lot.
I was gonna
Like
say, yeah,
the
Kyrie,
media
I feel
picks
like,
on him a lot. This situation you can't really argue is bad, but like they'll pick on him on like because I don't have to agree with him, but he's a flat earther. Like he said before, like he believes that Earth is flat or whatever. Like, and I don't know if he said it as a joke or dead serious, but people like constantly ask him about that or like whatever, like give him a hard time about it. He also will like sage the court where he plays, kind of like get rid of like bad spirits
I remember that shit,
or like
bro.
bad energy.
Oh my god, I remember that shit. I was making jokes about that shit.
Yeah. So it's like whatever. Like I don't have to like maybe he's like a little out there. It's weird, whatever. But at the same time, like it's not hurting nobody. You know what I mean? Like that's just his own
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
He believes it, whatever. Um,
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Damn, bro.
Kyrie, what the fuck, man? We talked about this shit an
So he's-
hour before. Don't do it 20 minutes.
So he's a very like spiritual, woke type of individual, and obviously, people are gonna, if you're a little different, people are gonna poke at you. But now it's the first time where it's like, all right, like this what you posted is getting kind of dangerous because you have a lot of influence. People can run with certain. It's like, oh, like Kyrie agrees with me,
Yeah.
Kanye agrees with me, and they just kind of run with that.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird space. But I do feel like it's also kind of like a picking on him kind of situation because they always, whatever move he makes, they blast it up to 1,000 and make it a whole ordeal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, it just comes with the territory. You gotta know how to navigate that stuff. If you want to be that guy who says the outlandish out there stuff, you know that people are gonna look at you a little funny, and you expect it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We talked. That was a good conversation.
Yeah.
I like that. But we've been talking for 36 minutes,
Okay.
so we should probably get on out of here.
All right.
Where can they find you, Mark?
Find me Instagram, ETC Marky Mark, Twitter, Marky Mark as well. Victor, where can they find you, and etc.
Find me everywhere at ETC Victor. Etc. Stuff is at real etc. Emails real.etc@gmail.com. Yeah, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. If you guys don't like sports, I feel like even if you don't like sports, you could also just get the conversation and see, like, because it's been all over the place, like,
Yeah,
especially because of Kanye,
You can
pulling up
understand.
pulling up the Skechers and shit.
Yep.
Is what it is. But yeah, guys, appreciate you guys for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.